To us. Story 1. The Man in the Attic, Tacoma, Washington. You can live with someone for months without ever seeing their face. That's what happened to me when I rented a room in a creaky 1910s craftsman house just south of downtown Tacoma in the spring of 2020. It was one of those quick Craigslist deals, low rent utilities included, must be okay with old wiring and noises. I'd just gotten out of a rough breakup and didn't have time to be picky. The owner, an older guy named Daniel, claimed he mostly lived in his RV in Aberdeen and used the house as storage. I had the run of the place, except he warned, "Don't go into the attic. It's unstable and sealed for a reason, fine by me." The house groaned at night, the floorboards popped, and the plumbing whined like it had lungs. But one night I woke up to footsteps above me. Heavy ones. Slow and deliberate, like someone pacing in the attic. I told myself it was raccoons. But the next night, the light bulb in the hallway burst at exactly 3:11 a.m., followed by another round of footsteps, this time stopping directly above my bedroom. I asked Daniel about it, and he just said, "It's just settling." I didn't believe him. I started hearing things I couldn't explain, whispering through the vents like someone praying in a voice filled with gravel. I noticed food would go missing, silverware out of place. One night I found a drawing tacked to the inside of my closet door. Charcoal scribbles of a face with black holes where the eyes should be. I installed a cheap motion-activated camera in the hallway pointed at the attic door. At 3:13 a.m., it captured a figure opening the panel from inside. I played it over and over. A tall, bald man in a tattered suit crawled out on all fours and stared at the camera, unmoving for nearly a full minute before crawling back in and shutting the door. I sent the footage to Daniel. He called me shaking, said that years ago the house belonged to his grandfather, who had a son named Walter, schizophrenic, violent, locked away after killing a neighbor's dog with a fork. They claimed he escaped a facility in 1986 and was never seen again. That attic, it had a false floor and a secret space behind the insulation. Daniel didn't know. The cops came, found the hatch, and inside they found rotting food pages ripped from hymnals and a mattress stained dark with something that wasn't rust. No one was there. But scratched into the beams were dozens of names, including mine, and next to them dates. Mine was scheduled for next week. Story 2. The Girl at the Fire Tower, Bear Mountain, New York. Some places are better left unseen after dark. Bear Mountain's old fire tower being one of them. In the summer of 2017, I worked as a trail steward for the New York State Park Service, mostly helping with hikers' trash and safety patrols. On Fridays, we were required to hike to the summit at dusk to check that no one stayed past closing. Most nights were quiet, just the rustling trees, fading sun, and the distant hum of the Hudson below. But one Friday, just before Labor Day, I arrived at the top later than usual. The sun had dipped behind the ridge, and the woods had taken on that unsettling bluish-black tint. The tower stood silhouetted against the sky, its rusted frame groaning in the breeze. I almost didn't climb it. Almost. But I heard humming. Soft, sad, and definitely human. I assumed someone was still up there, maybe a stubborn tourist ignoring the curfew. As I climbed the iron steps, the humming got louder, childlike, off-key, and slow. At the top, the cabin was empty. Just dust, broken glass, and old graffiti. But the humming didn't stop. It sounded like it was coming from beneath me. I shone my flashlight through the grates and saw something hanging from the crossbeam below the platform, a pair of legs swinging gently as if rocked by wind. I staggered back, nearly fell, but when I looked again, nothing. No legs, just the dark. I raced down the stairs, and halfway down I heard someone whisper from above, "Where are you going?" I didn't look back. I booked it to the bottom and ran the trail down faster than I ever had in my life. When I reported it, one of the rangers, Marty, pulled me aside, said, "Don't mention the tower to guests after sundown. It stirs her up." He told me in the 60s a girl named Evelyn hiked up alone after fighting with her parents. They found her a day later hanging by her scarf inside the tower. Since then, rangers had stories, lights flickering, radios dying, hikers going missing for hours and swearing they heard a girl crying for help from above. There was even a rule: never say her name out loud near the summit. That night I realized I had. I'd whispered it when I read it in the graffiti Evelyn. The next few nights I heard humming outside my window, and once, just once, I saw a hand press against the glass from the outside. I live on the 3rd floor. Story 3, the last broadcast, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. There's a reason most local radio stations don't run live after midnight anymore. Back in 2015, I was a night DJ at WZBO 91.3 FM, a sleepy little oldie station just outside Harrisburg. I had the graveyard shift, midnight to 4 a.m., and most of the time it was easy money. Cue up some pre-recorded sets, make a few weather announcements, drink gas station coffee until sunrise. The station was in a converted Victorian house, half studio, half dust-filled archive, surrounded by dying trees and an empty parking lot. I usually worked alone, and I liked it that way. But one night in early November, something changed. Around 2:12 a.m., I got a call on the studio line. The caller ID said unknown, which wasn't unusual. We'd get prank calls from bored teens or truckers. But this time there was no voice, just silence, then faintly static. I was about to hang up when I heard someone whisper, "Play track 9. I had no idea what that meant. I asked, "From what?" The call ended. I checked the rack of CDs looking for anything unusual. There was a dusty, unmarked jewel case on the far end of the shelf, like it had been buried behind others for years. I popped it open. Inside was a burned disc labeled only 9. Against my better judgment, I loaded it and queued up track 9. It was low, distorted, a deep humming tone that seemed to make the room colder. Then came a voice, female, crackling through like a bad signal. She said, "He's in the booth with you." I froze. I looked through the studio glass. Nothing. But then the on-air light flickered. The coffee mug on the desk tipped over. All the lights went red. I yanked off my headset and ran to the hall, heart pounding. The hallway lights buzzed violently, and I swear the air tasted like rust. I ran out to my car, but my tires were slashed. I slept in the bathroom with the lights on until the morning crew arrived. They found me shaking, holding a fire extinguisher like a weapon. When I explained what happened, the manager didn't laugh. He looked pale and told me the story. In 1998, the night DJ, a woman named Kara, died in that booth. Carbon monoxide leak from the backup generator. Her final broadcast went out as static, intercut with her breathing and whispering for help that never came. The last thing she ever said on air: "He's in the booth with me." That burned CD was recovered from her locker but never aired, or so they thought. I quit the next day, But sometimes when I tune into 91.3 at 2:12 a.m., I hear that same voice, not recorded live.